Welcome, YouTube pedal people. Well, amp people, but an amp that's as big as a pedal, which is kind of crazy. Companies are trying to reduce the size of amps, apparently. I don't know, somewhere up there you see the little Joyos, which are already pretty tiny, kind of micro-tera tiny. Vox is going a little bit further. A. That's a finger, that's not an A, god damn it. Well, here it is. I'm gonna get to the A. Here's the MV50. I don't know what that stands for. I have no idea. So instead of these tiny amps, the micro-tera, the band amps from Joyo, all these little ones, they're using a 12AX7 in the preamp and a solid-state power amp. This is different. This is using a new tube, which if we actually power this up, this lights up kind of blue and you can see it a tiny bit in there. It's a flat tube that's kind of like on a circuit board. So it is tube technology, it is real tube technology. They just redesigned the vacuum tube casing and made it very small. Apparently that's possible. So that's the preamp, and the power amp is Class D, a digital power. I don't know what that means. I don't even know what an analog or transistor power amp means. I don't know how these things work. So this is new tube, preamp, Class D instead of classic 12AX7 preamp with transistor. Hence, tiny. Okay, if you take this off, it's really not bigger than any pedal. Even with it, it's not bigger than any pedal. Question is, why do we even need this? But according to Vox, take these screws off and then take 2 screws off here, and you actually can take the handle off. Now let's look at this. This is the clean version. There's 3 different versions. The clean, which is pretty much clean. The AC, which is going to crank a little bit, it's going to give you a little bit of breakup, AC 30-ish, of course, if anyone knows how an AC 30 sounds, is Vox. And then the Rock, which is going to do Rock to high gain sounds. Now on, I think the others have a gain, tone, and volume. Here, since we don't have gain, we have, it's tough to read because of the chrome, we have treble, bass, and volume. So you get a 2-band EQ, input, and this beautiful VU meter. Now, in the track at the beginning, it was nicely panning past the amp, and you could see the chrome, which means you could probably not read the labels right because it's reflecting. Also, I wiped this off as best as I could, and in the video at the beginning, you could still see that there's fingerprints all over the place. So this is going to be fingerprinty. I love the chrome. On the other hand, keeping it clean, rather difficult. So, in the back, we have phones/line, which means we're going to have to test it in DI, which for clean, if they have a halfway decent speaker simulation, should work out. If we throw a drive pedal in front of it, that's where it all comes down to. We have echo on or off. That simply means it's not a delay. It simply means an economy mode, ecological mode, I don't know. This apparently there's a rule that in Europe at least that amps have to turn off if not used after a certain amount of time. The Hughes and Kettners do this. This will do it, but you can turn that off by going off. Other amps don't do that, so I don't know if companies just ignore that or not. Standby on or off. So this is your on-off switch, which is kind of weird. I would have liked this to be an actual switch on the front, or this tiny little thing. Yeah, okay. You have an input for the weird DC 19 volt 3.42 milliamps, kind of a weird rating. It's an external power supply. It's like a laptop power supply. It's on the ground there. Watch the unboxing and you see it. EQ flat or deep. Deep for smaller speakers, flat for bigger speakers. We're going to play around with this. And this one has an attenuator. The others have an ohm rating that you can switch. This has full 1/10 or 1/100th. So this is a killer bedroom amp. It has 50 watts. Woo! If used with a speaker that has 4 ohms, which a single speaker in the guitar world that has 4 ohms, rare. 412s might have that. So be warned, yeah, 50 watts, 50 watts, 50 watts, if 50 watts, if used with 4 ohms. With 8, we're already talking about 25 watts, which is not half the volume, it is 3 dB less. With every doubling of the watt, you only gain 3 dB more volume. And at 16 ohms, we are talking about 12.5 watts. So is it giggable? Let's find out. So we're going to start with a couple of in-the-room amp things. So not a great sound. We're not talking about, let me show you how great it sounds in the room and I'm miking the cab. I'm just throwing it on different cabs. So we're going to start with a tiny, tiny, tiny cab that I don't even know the model number of because it's so new that mine doesn't even have a plaque on the back. So I'll throw this on there, just put the guitar in without anything else, and we'll see. Okay? So this is the tiny, tiny cab that you can get with it, whose name we don't know. But it doesn't really matter. It is an 8-inch speaker. So we're going to say this is nice to get maybe as your first little cab. It might be nice to move around the house, to actually take somewhere. It might be nice to practice with. It's not going to be the big sound that this amp can deliver. Okay? And of course, well, I have my FRAMUS Idolmaker 5R here, which is nice. Just came in yesterday. So we're going to try it with that. Very, very quiet. Well, why is that? Well, because I probably don't have... Why is it? It helps when you plug in the cab into the actual speaker out, not the headphone out. This cab has 8 ohms, so we're talking about 25 watt that we're pushing right now. That was the Friedman BE-OD in front of it. With cabs that sound beautiful for clean, they can sound really shit with drives, because those sparkling high-end sounds will probably not work for your drive sounds. So if this is voiced for a clean amp, it might not be the best with drives. I'm gonna go with that's a beautiful little cab to get. I think in combination with the amp for a greatly reduced price, so you might just get it, but not for anything driven if you ask me. So if we put some spring reverb on there, it's gonna be nice. Of course, you're only hearing the shotgun mic right here, so it's just the room sound that you're getting. Let me go into the GLB cab for fun. Now, the GLB cab is a vintage 30 112, and the cab runs over $1,000. Will anyone use this amp with this cab? Highly likely not, but it's a 112, and we can see if there's any difference in the room for you. Let me see, I'm gonna move away a bit. Let's see how it's voiced for drive. Much better. Much better with the drive. When it's a 16 ohm cab, which means we're talking about 12.5 watts here. So the question is this giggable? Without a mic, absolutely not. Is this good for a practice room in terms of volume? I don't know. Borderline. I'm gonna say borderline. If the drummer is digging in, if you have a subtle drummer, yes. If your drummer is digging in, meh. I have another cab here, which is a Jensen. So it is a Joyo Beale Street cab, or Street Series cab, and it has 2 Jensens in it, which means definitely only voiced for clean, but it is 4 ohm and it is 212. Let's see what we can fly, what it flies at, what it will, if we actually put 50 watts out of that amp. Of course, the amp on that cab looks extremely cute. Now we're talking probably usable in a practice room situation. Clean, beautiful. Wonderful. So, it's all dependent on what cab you're using, obviously. I don't think it's the size necessarily of the Joyo with a 212 that makes it sound bigger. It could possibly be just the ohmage and the fact that the amp can put more power into it. So I'm thinking if you get a 4 ohm 112, it's probably a good idea. Might be tough to find. And think about, are you only playing clean sounds? Get something like the Jensen that gets you that sparkly high end, or do you want some drive? Then you might want to go for something that rounds it off more like a greenback or vintage 30. So let's look at that thing in a different kind of situation. Now, what else could this be good for? Beginners, $250, okay? It is upper level beginner range with the cab, well, unless you get the really tiny 8-inch. let's say $100 for a cab, like, I don't know, a Harley Benton Vintage 30 loaded, which could be nice. I should have used that. I'm an idiot. So $350 and you get a really decent clean amp. No effects, nothing. So you probably want some kind of reverb, some multi-effect, some delay, a little bit of drive. So yeah, $500 for pretty good sounding amp that will then have a decent setup. But it's not your get your guitar for $150, get your amp for $150. It's not that really bargain basement beginner setup, even though it looks like it. But here's a cool thing. Look over here. Look at this pedal board that I threw together by just putting pedals on it. So how about this? Bam! And there's your fly rig. We're talking about a fly rig that's not a DI solution. We're talking about a fly rig that you can plug into any amp that the backline just left there, or that has been rented, or from another band. Smack that thing on the floor, and you have a clean amp to drive your pedals. And what do I have here? I have a Tube Screamer Mini Whammy Ricochet just because from Digitech. I have a Mad Professor 1, which will give you the Van Halen brown sound with some reverb, and a Wampler Tape Echo because it's purple. So you have a little. Oh, these are not Velcroed. God damn it! Can I hold these? Here, you have a tiny little board. This is by the way, board. This is a rock board. Oh, I'm dropping everything. Velcro is a good thing, people. Trust me. You have a tiny board. Tiny rock board in this case. By the way, the new rock boards will be quite nice. Coming later. And you can put this on the floor. Guitar bag for this. Smack it on the floor. Long lead for your speaker cable. So you're going to need a longer speaker cable, which shouldn't be a problem. Or you could possibly go DI, which we're going to test. Hell yeah. You have a pedalboardable amp. Which... Here with the Joyo band amp, which is a kind of a tweed idea. That on here, yeah, it fits. It's not going to fit into any case that this comes with. You're going to have to build your own case. And it's 20 watts. That's 50. So how giggable are the band amps? I don't know yet. We're going to have to find out. I think this will probably get louder while still staying clean compared to this. This has a effects loop, which, bummer, this doesn't. For the clean, that's not an issue. Not at all, because very likely you're going to run it clean and all your drives and all that stuff in front of it. For the AC and the Rock, without an effects loop, I think your delays and reverbs should be in the loop. Putting it in front of a driving amp is negatory, if you ask me. So that could be a big drawback of this line of amps versus this, because these have an effects loop. They are bigger, however, they're also $100 cheaper. So it's going to be a really close race between these, I think. I can tell you more when I've tested the AC and the Rock, and when we really just compared some volumes and stuff. Again, the Vox, brand name, slightly higher in price. Well, I have complete chaos on my table now, but I've got it wired direct and into the Torpedo and everything that we want. So let's test the DI out, which is pretty much just like for headphones, or you could record with it directly. So I have muted the Torpedo, and let's see how it sounds direct. Without anything first. Okay, so this is the DI. Really not too shabby, if you ask me. So if we're gonna do this with some reverb, we should have a very nice sound. Let's see how much treble we have. That is actually very beautiful. No treble. More bass. Quite a bit of bass there. Good EQ section. Let me see if that deep switch does anything on the direct out. Not that I can tell. So now the big question is, how does the direct out behave with drive? A little bit of Tumnus. Pretty damn bad. Well, like most direct outs, they suck. It sounds like a little quaky kind of transistor direct out with bad speaker simulation. Oh, damn it, I was hoping for this. It'll be okay for like practicing with headphones. Then again, if you practice with headphones, practice to what? Your backing track? Well, it's not going to be any headphones. So you're going to have to put this into a mixer, your computer or backing track phone into your mixer, and then mix it together there. It'd be nice if it had an aux in, and then it gets mixed in together there. Some Friedman. It's okay for practicing, okay? No more than that. I wouldn't necessarily say great for recording or whatever. Clean, the DI out is brilliant. I wouldn't ever want anything else. Absolutely brilliant, very, very nice. So that means we're gonna go and turn it off now. And we're gonna go and check it out with the Torpedo on a speaker that works beautifully for clean. There we go. Some spring. I'm going to put on some compression. Phenomenally beautiful clean sound. I mean, the Vox MV50 Clean is as clean as it gets with the correct speaker, and it fully delivers. I mean, is pretty much clean perfection. Very, very, very impressive. And you can get those at kind of borderline gigging level, let's say that, which is impressive. So if you want something, how do I get to this thing now? Let me see. I mean, we're always thinking rock, metal, or whatever, you know, and what if you're like the gigging jazz musician and you don't need the volume? You know, your drummer is playing around with his brushes. Yes, there are people who never play distorted. They do exist. So for the gigging jazz musician that doesn't need the monster volume, and all they need is maybe the tiniest bit of reverb, so a little battery powered pedal in front of the amp, and that's it. I'm just stalling here while I'm tuning, but it could be great for that kind of thing, or for the funk guy. But let's see if the jazz guy, who can probably play more jazz than I do, would be happy with this. So I'm gonna dial down the reverb a bit. Ha-ha! Major third. So yes, I would think this is a great solution for the traveling jazz musician. I mean, really, just a bit of reverb, done. Even DI. Get that little 8-inch as your monitor, and then go DI. If you actually, jazz, or you're playing jazz for the 7 people in the audience. I'm sorry, you don't necessarily have a mixing console. Usually, it's going right from the stage, or I don't know, stage, more like. In the little bar where you're playing, they moved away 3 chairs and gave you the corner and told you can have all the tea you want, and that's pretty much your payment. Come on, you know that I'm right? Yeah, I can't play this. So, no, it is absolutely great for that. Now back to my FRAMUS Idolmaker 5R. So what I want to test is, or what I want to show you, what I want to show you is when you're using the wrong speaker, what can happen? What can happen is, right now I've got a speaker which is, let me see, a Brit 65C. It's a 410. I have no idea what that means, but a mic with a condenser, which means definitely more high end. So if I'm trying to use that beautiful speaker that's made for clean with drive, it's going to sound like complete ass. That is absolutely not satisfying. So we're going to go to impulse response of a 412 Marshall, and let's see what happens. That is the one I always use, preset number 1 on the Torpedo, and all of a sudden, the cleans aren't so whoa clean anymore, but sounds to me like we can get rid of that deep switch now. So given the correct speaker, yes, it takes pedals rather well. Yes, and that is with single coils. It is impressive how pretty it can be with just some tumnus and a delay. So yes, it is a great pedal platform given that you're using the correct speaker, but you know what, that actually applies to any amp. It is giggable if you have the right ohmage. And the omission of a, well, let's go to my 2 cents. Why am I talking here about this? So, my 2 cents, simple. Clean sounds that are dead on, clean sounds that are to die for, clean sounds that are reproducible with any kind of speaker really. If you have a Jensen or a brighter speaker, the cleans will be as good as cleans can get. Will they be as good as a Morgan AC20, for example? I don't know. I played one at NAMM, which was a revelation in clean. Well, that's a 2,300 euro amp. Well, likely not. They are, however, reference clean. They are brilliant. Reproducible with the headphone out or the line out into your DAW. Brilliant. I think I actually like it a little bit brighter, so treble up a little bit usually. Very good. Can it gig? It depends on your speaker. I say yes, about 60% yes, okay? As a pedalboard solution, hell yeah, probably the smallest available amp that you can possibly put on your pedalboard that has tube sounds and 50 watt with the right speaker. The omission of an effects loop with the clean, not a problem because you're putting everything in front of the amp anyway, so absolutely fine. The omission of an effects loop with the AC and the Rock, which are coming, I don't know. I'm going to have to test it. I'm probably going to bitch about that a little bit. we could hear that the deep switch really does something. So if you have a smaller cab, use the deep. If you want to clean up the low end, don't use it. 249, not super dirt cheap, but it's not a little kiddie practice amp, even though you might think that, given the size. I would actually, it's very hard to see this, that's what she said. It's very hard to see this as a real amp, because it's about this big, okay? So, it's just very difficult to take something that small seriously. And that's what she said. I'm sorry, that was damn funny. But you should. If you're looking for a clean amp and you don't have big festivals to play or whatever, and you're playing in small clubs, make your life easier. I'm thinking Vox MV50 has me convinced, minus the effects loop, which for the clean, not an issue. Line out for clean, beautiful. It says clean on the front. It says it right there. So I'm gonna go yes, totally fine. It doesn't say, blast it. It does work well with pedals, but then minus the direct out because it doesn't really work. Great, great little diagonal box. 249. High quality sounds. Brand name right there. And beautiful fingerprintable chrome panel. Way to go, Vox. I'm thinking this one is a winner. Really curious to check out the AC and the Rock and see how they're going. Not Dwayne Johnson, not that Rock. The Rock. You know what I'm talking about. Bye-bye.